Good afternoon, live on Instagram, live from the Italian Alps, where today I'm going to discuss men's relationships, powerful relationships. Hello, Matthew.
Hey Neil, how are you?
Good. How you doing, man?
Doing great. Doing great. Good afternoon to you, even though it's morning over here, right?
Good morning to you. Yeah, I'm in the Italian Alps, in Aosta. Where are you at, Matthew?
I love it. I'm in Charleston, South Carolina. So
Cool.
East Coast, USA.
Nice one. Sounds like an Italian name.
Yeah, the heritage is definitely Italian. My dad was, I believe, maybe second uh, generation here in the U.S., and so his family goes back to Bari, Italy.
Okay.
So
Okay.
southern Italy. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. It's a great country, man. These people are fantastic.
I I need to get over there. I've been to Italy once,
Yeah,
and now that we have two little ones that are getting a little older, 5 and 3, we want to get over to Europe and show them some other countries and also see some places ourselves, you know?
absolutely. And look, I think we can learn a lot from the Italians and how to live, man.
Yeah, I I think so.
So, your coaching business is in real estate, yeah?
Correct. Yeah, yeah, primarily real estate. We help real estate agents and adjacent industries, insurance, mortgage, help people grow their business and harmonize their business with their lifestyle primarily. So we can help on the sales side for sure, but our main focus is helping people live with their business in a way where they're not, the business isn't running their life, their business is a part of their life that they control.
Okay, so relationships are very important for you, yeah?
Oh, very much. I mean, the entire system we help people with is all relationship based, right? Helping
Okay,
people build
yeah.
business off relationships, because particularly in sales and in real estate in general, most consumers find their advisor through a relationship. Overwhelming majority, right? It's not necessarily just some marketing
Yeah.
tactic, it is connection with others.
Yeah. And what would you say is like when in business relationships, what is the most important characteristic you're looking for in relationships?
I would say, I mean, I think this works in all relationships, but trust is obviously a big thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Which isn't necessarily a characteristic um, that someone practices, I guess, from the internal side. That would be being an honest
Yeah,
person will help build trust. Being a consistent person,
yeah,
um, will help build trust.
exactly. Exactly. And you say the same, it's the same in romantic relationships, really, isn't it? Trust is so important.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And
I believe that.
um, what else would you say is important in business relationships that would like correlate in romantic relationships?
I'd say, you know, consistency is important, right? Consistency in showing up,
Right.
um, and consistency in being interested in the other person, asking questions, learning about the person. Because with business relationships, the only way that we're going to be able to serve people at a high level is to understand and know what they're about, what they're looking for. But in a romantic relationship, which I'll admit I haven't always been great with, the same thing. You have to be able to ask questions, be interested in your partner. I mean, when we're dating, we always do it. We're asking tons of questions,
Yeah,
right? Like, I want to learn
yeah,
about you. I want to learn about you. And then once we're in the relationship, sometimes the questions stop. And this works in business relationships too. We stop asking questions and then we wonder why a business relationship might fizzle. It's like, well, are we asking questions? Are we consistent in showing up for that person to bring, to support that relationship in the longer term?
Exactly. Like the curiosity is so important, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Um,
How else will you discover what the other person wants and how you can serve them?
exactly. And like what are they thinking, and where's their head at? And like you said, just how can you help them? You know, you have to be interested to you have to be interested to stay interesting, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah. What is, isn't that the saying, right? To be the most interesting person in the room, be the most interested
Yeah,
person in the room.
yeah, yeah. You got to make other people feel like they're the most important person in the room.
Yeah. Yeah. And people love to talk about themselves. So
Absolutely.
asking them questions is a
Just,
great way to do that.
all you have to do is ask them a question with their name in it, and they're off, man. They're gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful, you know, and that's a beautiful skill to have. With good listening,
Hmm.
you have to be good listeners. It's something.
100%.
It's something that we all struggle with, though. You know.
We do. I think we, whether it's business or a personal relationship, we also seek our own validation in some ways. And we we sometimes want that validation without asking for it, without demonstrating value to the other person.
Yeah.
We sometimes feel
Good point.
entitled to it.
Great.
And so we get upset if we don't have that validation and we blame the relationship instead of looking internally to say, what have I done to support um, a reason for this other person to validate me if they want to? And why do I need that person to validate me when I can validate myself through my own actions?
That's a great point, Matthew. It's like that voice in our head is like looking for reasons to start an argument or start a fight or just stir the crap, you know.
Yeah.
So we really like when we're trying to listen, you know, it's very hard to get over the internal distraction of that voice in your head, judging or criticizing or making, you know, those passing thoughts that go in your head that you have to let just fly through, you know,
Yeah.
and the external distractions as well.
Yeah.
So it's
Oh,
almost like listening has become an even more skillful tool to have, you know.
yeah. That's a very good point. The external distractions, particularly longer term relationships, right, become noisier than ever. The more noise we have outside the relationship, the more distraction it brings to the relationship, the less attention we pay, um, and the less powerful the relationship becomes, right?
That's a very pertinent point, you know, and we kind of let relationships suffer and lose their power a bit um, without even noticing. And it comes back to that lack of curiosity. It's like um, what is it? The enemy of learning is knowing. So thinking that you know someone, I mean, you never know someone. You know,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
there's like it's like Dan Martell always says about his McLaren mindset. But how many layers is there to mindset?
Mm, of
You know, like so
course.
when you're in a relationship, how deep can you go? You know, like in a powerful relationship, you're you're together with your partner for 17 years, yeah.
Yeah. So we've been, yeah, now actually coming up on 15 years. 15 years together. Um, and then coming up on 13 years married. So
That's a pretty good achievement, man.
thank you. Appreciate it. Not without its challenges, right? Um, Interesting. As speaking of powerful relationships, it was funny because I was seeing Alex Ramosi just posted a video recently where he was watching, basically talking about how the most important choice we make in our life is our spouse, the person we choose to be with for the long haul. More important than what we choose to do for work, where we choose to live, and that's something that interesting. Like I didn't think of when I was, getting married. I mean, I'm blessed to be with my wife Jen for as long as we have. But when we got together and we were young, like we were focused on so many other
Yeah, yeah.
things than each other, really. We never thought of like, hey, is this the are we making the right choice for the long haul? Now, I think that we have made the right choice. We're
Right.
very supportive of each other. But you think about the power of a relationship. It really is one of the most important decisions that we can make is, okay, who are we going to choose to spend the rest of our life with? Because this is going to be my support, my rock. I'm going to be their support, their rock. And that's going to impact how I perform in my work, in all the other activities, how we raise children, how we pass things on to the next generation. So I mean, Neil, for you, how do you view that subject of that being one of the most important, if not the most important decision we make in our lives?
Look, I saw that video, Alex Hormozy saying that, and uh, what really struck me was that um, other girls he dated, he was saying that they found him weird, but when he met his wife, they made she believed in him. She absolutely
Mhm.
believed in him, and he kind of broke down in that video. It really struck home that the power of believing in each other. Chris Williams, is it Chris Williamson? Like he
Mhm.
talks about the Michelangelo effect, where you bring out the best in each other, no matter what. And like all the challenges, all the ups and downs, that's what creates such a powerful bond.
Is that something that we can build in a relationship? Like let's say someone is struggling in a relationship. Um, is there a way, I mean, I think all relationships can be healed in a certain factor or manner. Obviously, both have to participate, but is there active things that one party can do to try to build a stronger bond so that that belief is there? Because maybe there is a misalignment on beliefs about the future, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think you really have to surrender to it. Like if you believe in a relationship, you have to really kind of surrender into it and just be completely honest
Mm.
with your partner. Um, you've got to explain where you want to go, how you want to live, how you see that partner in your life, how far that you can go together. Um, if you can create a vision for both of you going forward, where you can still do your own thing, you can still achieve everything you want on a personal level, but together you've got like a vision for the future, a clear vision. I think if you can articulate that and agree on that, I'll give an example. A friend of mine, um, in 2008, he was a developer in Dublin, when the economy went to crap. So they were they himself and his wife decided that they were going to leave Ireland. It was bad. It was really bad. And so the plan they came up with was, let's write down 5 different countries and we see what we come up with. So they both wrote down 5 different countries and only one country came up, Barbados. So they moved there and they built the whole life there. They built a couple of businesses, they bought some properties, they did Airbnb, they built a whole life there out of nothing. But like that was a vision that they agreed on together.
Mm. And so important to have that shared vision, right?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. Then you're fighting for something together.
What do you do if the maybe the visions are a little bit different, right? Is that can we manage that? Is there a way? I mean, like you said, is it just committing to one or the other, or building one then the other? I mean, obviously, if it's like a location, if somebody wants to live in Italy and the other person wants to live in the US, for an example, it's going to be really hard to maintain the physical relationship. But,
Yeah,
I think,
yeah. I think that you have to find a way that like your visions complement each other and they kind of fuse together somehow. I think that's essentially possible, but you really have to sit down and have a good conversation with your partner, wide open and everything on the table, everything is possible. I think you really have to open up, and that's where the surrender comes in. I think you just have to, you know, commit.
yeah,
It's a commitment. It's a commitment to like a shared future, with no limits. Like if you can think about it, if you can even manifest small things on a daily basis, imagine the power of two people coming together, sharing that kind of a vision and committing to it together. I mean, you're waking up next to each other and you're like, you know, willing each other on. I believe in you. Come on, let's do it. There's no, there's no there's no room for like, um, feeling sorry for yourself or doubting yourself or there's someone next to you. Like,
yeah.
come on, let's go, man, let's go. So there's so much, there's so much that we leave on the table. I think it's like a bad business deal. If you're leaving money on the table, you're leaving a way of life on the table. Like if you're going to be together with someone, then you might as well paint the biggest, most incredible picture of a lifestyle that you can,
Yeah.
and then just go for it. You know, you can definitely complement each other's desire for the way you want to live.
I think it's fascinating you mentioned surrender. And I think sometimes people fear that they're surrendering to the other person. Um, and what you just explained, you're not surrendering to the other person. You're surrendering to the idea of the new version of you together as one, right? And you're surrendering to this new greater idea of what you can accomplish because you together is going to be greater than the sum of your parts. And if you don't, though, spend the time on identifying what that vision is and allowing yourself. And I think this is where there's been elements of my relationship with Jen over the years where we butted heads as we both or one of us has struggled to release our own um, limiting beliefs of what my vision could be as an example, and instead of like just taking the lid off of that and saying, well, what can our vision be, what can we accomplish? And when you take that lid off and you get to
Yeah,
think, like you said, just think really really big, right?
yeah,
um, then it's okay, great, we can go down this journey and or at least try, right? I mean, okay, if we don't get there, so what, we're going on this journey together. That's the
yeah,
enjoyment, that's the enjoyable
yeah.
part of it, is embarking on it together.
Absolutely. It's like it's probably the greatest adventure of your life when you think about it.
It is the adventure of life,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, um, to be able to be in that kind of a position, Matthew, is just incredible. And a lot of times we don't explore what's possible, together.
Yeah.
Um, it just seems like a waste of bonding, a waste of experiences shared together when we don't align that kind of a way, and it's just there's so much left on the table. It's like a bad business deal, man. We're leaving adventure on the table.
And
It's like this.
unlike a business deal, you can't. It's hard to go back and do it again. Like business is in some elements timeless in a way. Obviously, investment strategies work better in different times of the year or different times of life. But seasons of life, from a personal relationship aspect,
Yeah,
like you don't
yeah.
you don't redo the 30s, you don't redo your 40s, you don't redo your 50s. Yes, you can pave a new path in a next generation or a next decade with someone, but embracing the here and now with someone is so important because you don't get those years back.
You don't, and look, the process is going to be the same with any relationship. You know, you're going to go through the initial period, the honeymoon period, and then you're getting closer and getting to know each other more, and then, you know, maybe life gets in the way and all that kind of stuff, and challenges and obstacles. But like, you're going to go through the same process, the same effects, the same challenges with anyone.
Mhm.
So it's just making sure that like your compatibility is really good to take on what we call it. It is the best adventure of your life, man, for sure.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on, because thinking about that video that Alex shared and how choosing the spouse that you spend the rest of your life with, or choosing a partner or mate, is the most important decision that you make. Pairing that with, the basically the wisdom of all relationships take work. Like, that's not just you choose and it's going to be great forever. Like, there's an element of work, as you mentioned. There's, like, the beginning phase, the honeymoon phase, and then there's like the rest of your life phase, that
Yeah,
journey.
yeah.
What is that work that individuals can do, whether it's daily or weekly or monthly, to continue to strengthen and grow that relationship, no matter where it's at, what phase it's in?
Good question. Great question. Um, well, I suppose really, like if you're going to share a vision for the way that you want to live together, then I don't know, is work really the right word? You know, there's an element of playfulness involved because
Hmm.
there's so many possibilities. You know, you just have to imagine what you want to happen. So I would say rather than making it sound like work, it has to be play. It really has to be play. Very playful,
Like that.
fun. You gotta have fun while you're planning a future together, you know.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes like a real adventure, you know.
That's such a good point. I think, just even switching that language from work to play, like, because we like, oh, marriage takes work. It doesn't sound like fun when you do it
No,
that way. But
no.
if it's like, hey, a successful marriage takes playfulness, takes, enjoyment, you know, okay, that's the work, but that's the things that we want to do. The things we
It's
should want to do.
exactly like we don't go to work for 8 hours on our marriage every day, you know, or a relationship. You know, we go to work for work. Our relationships need to be, you know, full of integrity, of course, communication, all those characteristics. But there has to be an element of play because we're trying to create a future that doesn't exist. So
Yeah.
imagination is a huge part of it.
Because if you don't imagine it, the future is going to be developed for you based on your thinking anyway.
Exactly, exactly. You're just going to be living in effect, you know, waiting for things to happen. You got to make things happen. That's the difference. I
Mhm.
think for me anyway, like there has to be an element of humor involved and a lot of playfulness to really bring out the creativity, because that's when like you know the real magic happens, man. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, creativity in a relationship is sometimes lost on us. We get so focused on how do we make money, how do we handle the expenses, how do we manage kids.
Yeah.
We forget about the creativeness of
Yeah.
even applying it to those same needs that exist in our life. You can apply creativeness and playfulness to that in a
Absolutely.
way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, every day is going to have new challenges. There's going to be obstacles, you know, relationships, you know, you have duties, responsibilities, obligations, you know, there's bills, all that kind of stuff. So this shit happens.
Hmm.
It's going to happen anyway. So um, I think for a lot of guys or a lot of people in relationships, the everyday routine just wears people down. So the edge, the edge of creativity is, you know, it's affected for sure.
Hmm.
Uh, Knocked out of us, drained out of us by the constant going. every day, going every day. Sometimes it feels like Groundhog Day, but only the first half of Groundhog Day. You're just like dragging your ass, and the creativity is knocked out of us.
Yeah.
So it's very important, like, to always find a way back into our element, especially in relationships. I mean, if we're not in our element, how are we helping a relationship?
If you're not being the best you can be, then yeah, you're not serving a relationship. It's not what the other person signed up for. Because I guess when you sign up, quote unquote, for a relationship, you're also signing up to be with the best version of the other person and they to you. And if you're not living up to your own best version, you're
Exactly.
not serving.
No, we model the best version of ourselves when we're dating, but
Mhm.
then we forget it. You know,
Yeah, it's a
we
really good
forget
point.
that was the best of us right then. So how do we improve that? Like,
It's a good point
keep
too for
improving it.
long-term relationships. I've been with Jen coming up on 17 years, and it's or 15, 18 years, but I lost count. Um, and like I don't even remember like what going back to like dating,
Yeah,
and I think you see a lot of people get into that they're not focusing on the best of themselves, maybe because of a element of safety or complacency. I'm not sure, but it's
yeah,
like how do we pull that out, Neil? Like when we are in a longer term relationship, how do we pull that same feeling and desire to want to be the best version of ourselves for a partner? Which obviously is going to have an amazing effect then on our business and other things, because if we're the best
absolutely.
version for the person closest to us, we're going to be the best version for everybody else.
Well, I think when we feel frustrated or resentment for where we are in life, and we're not kind of doing the things that we want to do, or where we're not where we think we should be. There's um there's an awareness that we tend to maybe ignore in those moments, and that's like a moment when we should say, okay, I'm not being my best self here. Why am I feeling? Why am I feeling a bit of resentment? Why am I feeling frustrated? Why do I feel like I'm stuck? What's holding me back? You know, these are moments that we should be showing greater awareness, and that pulls us back into ourselves, and then we kind of see that we're not being the best version of ourselves. These are the moments, and we have to be more cognizant of them, really.
Mm. Well, coming back to what you said of sitting down with a partner and laying out the vision, I think helps, because then you have something to track against.
Exactly,
Perhaps it's we
exactly.
lose we lose sight of where we want to go, and so we have no motivation to be a best version of ourselves.
That's so true, Jeff. That's so true, Matthew. Like that's why it's so important to have that vision,
Yeah.
and that really kind of draws the awareness out of us. So we're like, where are we with our vision, and why am I not pulling my weight, or what's holding me back? What's making me feel so frustrated right now? What can I do to change it?
Yeah. So it sounds like a big key to powerful relationships is working internally a lot, doing a lot of internal work
Uh,
regularly.
Absolutely. It's so important not to listen to the voice in your head. Maybe let the first thought in your head just kind of flutter away. And what's left behind is usually a much better insight, or, rather than feeling critical or judgmental, just leave the thought pass.
Yeah.
And the next one comes out, then it's much more amenable, much more complimentary. So I definitely think that we need to take more control of the voice in our head. Just show the voice in our head who's boss, you know?
Yeah.
It really comes down to that. You gotta slap the voice around a bit, uh, and shut it up, and just like, shut up. I'm taking control of the situation here now. So I think once you do that, then you're in a very good state of awareness, and
Yeah.
then everything becomes a lot clearer. rather than, being ground down by the, daily routine, another 8 or 10 or 12 hours of work, struggling through the weekends, back into another week of work. You know, we let ourselves we let ourselves off the hook when it comes to being more aware and showing consciousness.
Yeah,
And making better decisions because we're seeing better choices.
makes a lot of sense. Really does.
Yeah, so we just need to slap that voice around a bit and get ourselves straight. Just thinking straight. I think, and again, look, I think that's why the vision is so important.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of it comes back to that.
Yeah, or it's why you together.
Yeah, yeah. And if you can combine on that, I think then pulling that into business, it works the same way. When you're building quality business relationships, whether it's with another business, with a client, with employees, or with managers, is aligning that vision and casting it out. If you're working with a client and you don't know where they want to go, and you're not, or if you do and you're not willing to share in that vision for them, then it's not going to work, or vice versa. If you don't have clarity on their vision, you don't understand where they want to go, they're not verbalizing it, we're not asking enough questions to understand it so that we can help shepherd them through that process. And working with employees internally at a company, it works the same way. Dan Martell talks about this a lot, which is like knowing the goals and dreams of your employees. Like if you don't know where they want to be in 5 years, how are you going to help them lead? How are they going to want to be with you if they don't feel that you're helping guide them to where they want to go? And just simply asking that question of like, hey, where do you want to be in 5 years? What are your personal and professional goals for the next 5 years? And whatever they say is the thing. Like you don't have to put ideas in their head. It's just listen, take that, and know that, and support them in that, and then they're gonna show up and support you. Right? Right?
It sounds so simple, but it's so important.
Yeah,
And like,
it really is.
how often do you come across that approach in different businesses that you come across? So, like,
Not often.
it's not often, no.
I think this is the challenge too. I think there's an opportunity. I mean, a lot of the groups that I'm in and involved in, and we're in one together. It's entrepreneurs. It's people who are running their own businesses, or they are managing elements of a business, and they're managing people, and it's usually top down.
Yeah.
But I think also for employees or independent contractors who work inside a larger organization, you can do the same thing going up. You can ask your manager the same questions. What are your personal and professional goals for the next 5 years? Because if you key into that, if they believe that you're invested in their future, they're going to invest in your future a whole lot more too, as an employee, or someone who's in their system. And I think a lot of people are afraid to ask those questions, and it comes back even to personal relationships. Is if somebody feels inferior to their partner in some form or fashion, they may not ask those questions. Um, but when you ask upward, and you conquer your own feelings of inferiority, that's going to be reciprocated. And if it's not, then it's okay, maybe this isn't the right fit. But I think a lot of times we'll be surprised by how much that gets reciprocated, which then helps. We basically are able to pull ourselves up by helping somebody who has that capability to serve us.
Shared vision. It
Yeah.
all comes it all comes down to the shared vision, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
Business, romance, work, managing
Yeah.
people, everything. It comes down to like understanding people, and just in the age of distraction, how easy is it how easy is it to stand out just by showing
Yeah.
that level of interest, that kind of awareness.
Yeah. It's it's a simple question, right?
Yeah,
To ask. And but it can lead to a hard conversation too sometimes, right? You
absolutely.
have to be open to just
Yeah.
hearing whatever that person wants to say, and also be open to like maybe that person may not know what to say. Right? There's periods of time where people have, where if somebody asks me, what are your 5 year goals? I'll be like, I don't even know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's been work to get clear on that at some point, and then those change obviously as you cross the next 5 years, right? Like the vision for my wife and I today is different than it was 5 years ago, 6, 7 years ago before we had our first daughter.
Right.
Very different.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
But better.
yeah, yeah. Different, better. It doesn't even matter whether it's better or not. Like it is where we are, right?
It's just
And
adapting, yeah.
yeah, yeah. And you get to choose then, like, do you want to adapt and basically be the result of life happening, or do you want to design it and
Yeah.
by the grace of God, have those results come to you? And a lot of times we just kind of accept life as it moves forward versus being part of that creation. And it comes back to your idea of playfulness and having creativity in the relationship so that it does become by design versus by default.
Exactly. And make that playfulness very natural, natural part of every day.
Yeah.
Almost you almost have to schedule it. If we're going to fill out our calendar, then we need to add playfulness to the calendar.
Yeah. I think that's great. I love calendaring things. I'm a big advocate of having, things planned and time blocked, and why not have those things on there?
Absolutely. It can only embellish your shared vision when you're showing that kind of conscious awareness, man,
Yeah.
of being very creative. What gets you
Yeah.
into the most creative mode, and then stick yourself in that moment.
Yeah. I love it. This is great.
Great chat, Matthew. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah.
Really, we unearthed a lot there, but I think the most important thing for um, anyone in a relationship of all types of relationships is how can we share a vision?
Yeah. I totally agree with that. And thank you for inviting me to join you here and for having this conversation. This has been great for me too. I got some now ideas of things that I want to deploy and think a little bit bigger. I got my energy boosted for today.
Excellent.
As you're winding down your day, I'm now getting ready to just take off on this day. So
Great stuff. Thank you. And
thank
thanks
you,
for
Neil.
everyone for joining. Matthew, you're a star, man. Legend. We're looking
Yeah, I
forward to seeing
appreciate
you.
you. You as well.
Brilliant.
All right, take care.
Be good.